Hey everyone, welcome back to day 3 of CPAC 2021 America Uncanceled, live from Dallas, Texas. I'm Grace Saldana, and I'm here joined by Christian Hartsock from Project Veritas. How are you doing?
Hello, Grace.
So you are an investigative journalist with Project Veritas. Tell us about how you got involved.
So, 12 years ago, I went to film school. My background is in film and video narrative production, and I met someone at a party. It was 2008, and told him I was just, I just graduated film school and did my thesis film, and he said, "Oh, you should meet my friend James. He does videos." And so he sent a trailer for my thesis film to James. This was before Acorn and everything, and James reaches out to me over email and says, "Christian, I saw your thesis film. I'm very impressed with the production qualities, and I'd love to speak on the telephone, about some video ideas I have. How is 4 p.m. Eastern on January the 9th for a call?" And I'm like, "Sure. I mean, it's November now, but I'll put it in my calendar." It's kind of a culture shock. I'm from California. James is this very, northeastern, formal, dynamic. So it's kind of a funny culture shock. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then so we started having these quarterly telephone calls for about an hour at a time throughout the year of 2009, and just talking about ideas. One of his ideas was Acorn. Then we finally met in person, or around the same time. I was part of a secret society for freedom, Friends of Freedom in the entertainment industry called Friends of Abe, and that's where I met Andrew Breitbart. And so Andrew Breitbart and I were kind of forming a friendship. Kelsey Grammer had co-founded a right of center entertainment platform called Right Network. They hired me to do videography, broke a bunch of stories, published on Breitbart. And erstwhile, James and I are talking creative ideas. James comes to LA in about September of 2009. We meet for the first time. He calls me up. He's coming. He's in town. He's like, "Christian." He invites me to this party in West Hollywood, this 80s night, and he's like, "Christian, do you have any penny loafers? I'm going to do the moonwalk later
That's
tonight."
Such a him thing to say.
Yeah. I'm like, "I don't know that I have penny loafers, but I have some Sperry's." He's like, "Those will do." And so we meet at this 80s party, and then he does the moonwalk, and later on, we do a music video called Landry Dance. He does the moonwalk. Have you seen James do the moonwalk?
I have seen it on his story here and there, and he's actually shockingly good.
Yeah.
I know he's very into the 80s, so I shouldn't be surprised, but...
Yeah, so that same week, the next morning, he showed me some of his Acorn videos, and he asked me to go to Huntington Beach and shoot some B-roll of Hannah Giles, whose husband
Which is where you're
here.
from, right? You're from Huntington?
Well, I'm originally from Oakland, but I live in LA.
Okay.
But Huntington is a nice, quick 45-minute drive on a Sunday. It was a Sunday, so I shot some B-roll for the Acorn tapes, and then erstwhile working closer with Andrew Breitbart, and the rest was history.
The rest was history. So what is your favorite expose that you've done?
So, well, this is a favorite amongst many. I went up to Van Jones on Sunset Boulevard outside CNN, asked him, "What do you think of the whole nothing burger?" Or sorry, "What do you think of the whole Russia thing?" And he goes, "The Russia thing's a big nothing burger." And he had to go on Anderson, and so we released that tape, and then he had to go on Anderson Cooper the next day and do all this damage control. No, I didn't mean it. I'm still a conspiracy theorist. Don't worry, I'm not sane. so that was for this T-shirt. We did not make this T-shirt. Months later, Eric Spracklin, our comms guy, was telling me, that video is now a T-shirt franchise, right? And I'm like, no. He's like, "Google Nothing Burger," and I did, and there's all these people making these Nothing Burger T-shirts. So I bought one.
Awesome. Sounds good.
So there's that one, and then the Google one with Jen Janai, and the Clinton campaign in 2016 was a big one, where we got Bob Creamer, Hillary's top advisor, organizing agitators bird doggers to go into Trump rallies and incite violence.
But no one wants to talk about that, because Trump supporters are violent extremists.
Yeah, we got the original insurrectionists funded by the Clinton campaign.
Boom. And I'm so glad that you guys are getting such national attention now, and you are you just are banned on Twitter and you're getting censored left and right. So tell us about what your next expose might be. Can you give us a hint?
Are we off the record?
We can be off the record.
Well, obviously I can't talk about ongoing investigations, imagined or real, but you guys have some input on that, on the answer to that question. What we're doing right now is we're courting. We had a number of brave whistleblowers inside Fox Corp and inside CBS. April Moss is right over there somewhere. We had Ivory Hecker call out the corporate news media on live television, and about how she was being how the information was being rationed from the American people. We have insiders inside Google. That Google story that I was mentioning earlier was the companion piece. Was we had a whistleblower inside Google leak us documents about machine learning fairness, prompting me to go undercover and meet Jen Janai, who's the head of machine learning fairness, and ask her, well, what's being done about the 2020 election? And she says, oh, don't worry. We are working overtime to make, she's Irish, we're working overtime to make sure that we don't have another Trump situation. But we couldn't, and so that was huge. And that was banned by Google, the video, but by the time they banned it, Don Jr. had already tweeted the embed code, and it ended up being, I believe, the most viral video we did. But we couldn't have done it, all right, without Zach Voorhees, who was our insider, who came from Google and gave us documentation about this machine learning, this algorithmic manipulation. So we need insiders. We infiltrate from the outside, but we need people who are already on the inside, who see the corruption around them. And a lot of people are afraid of, they have the crisis of conscience. I feel like I'm a part of this corrupt machine, and I feel guilty being a part of it. But if I do anything, if I expose it, then these people will ruin me. Let me tell you something. Sunlight is the greatest disinfectant. Okay, what does sunlight do to a vampire?
It kills them.
Right. Mm-hmm. So once the truth is out there, if the courts are not going to hear cases of corruption because they're afraid and they're preoccupied with legacy, well, guess what? We'll take it to the court of public opinion, and that is what big tech is trying to stop. They're trying to stop the deliberations of the people. They're trying to gag the jury of the American people when they censor and ration information. What does that tell you? That means we have power. Okay? Mm-hmm. That means that you out there, you can help us out. Everyone is 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon from that next brave whistleblower. So, go into your Rolodex and find out, who do I know who knows someone who works inside, I don't know, a campaign where corruption is suspected, or inside, border, inside tech, inside medicine, that sort of thing. So you guys tell us what the answer to that question is going to be.
I like that perspective. So you mentioned Fox Corp, and I've noticed that, so you guys just had an insider from a Fox affiliate. I've seen an interesting turn, because one of the most common criticisms of Project Veritas is that they only do exposés on left-wing organizations, and I've seen spokespeople repeatedly say that you're not intentionally going after leftist organizations, you're just going after corruption. So are you going after Fox specifically for that purpose?
I so love that you asked that question. That's a tough question. That's a great question. So the answer to that is, so we had a woman who was here in Texas, who was we investigated ballot harvesting and election corruption, election rigging, and this was a Republican campaign, a congressional Texas Republican campaign, and we caught the campaign, doing fraud, and that woman was arrested as a Republican. Pro-MAGA campaign, arrested as a result of this investigation. corruption does not belong to any party. Now, here's the thing. When you have a Democrat media complex, a monopolizing the information ecosystem, protecting a certain party, and suppressing news, it's the law of supply and demand. Scarcity creates value. When there's a scarcity of information about the corruption of the sacred cows, unions, media, the people you're not supposed to investigate, well, there's an organic demand for it. And so, it's the way we see it is like, we're going to report the stories that are not being reported. And if they happen to be a Republican, happen to be a conservative Republican, if they happen to be Democrats, whoever, the Democrat media complex is so, they're so hard up for material on, Russia collusion, insurrection, all those conspiracy theories, that they have to make things up. So, usually when there's corruption of that sort, sometimes, we're up against Goliath, and so oftentimes they're going to get the scoop before we do on the people you are allowed to investigate. But we're full of surprises.
So you're on the inside, and to follow up from that question, do you see more corruption happening on the left versus the right, or are you seeing an increasing amount of corruption happening on the right?
Well, it depends. It depends upon the semantics. It depends upon how we define right and left. Our mentor Andrew Breitbart spoke about what he coined the term the Democrat media complex, and the fact is that the Democrat Party is not just a political party. It is a behemoth institution that is cartelized with the media, with entertainment, with pop culture, with courts, with the judiciary. So it's not a matter of it's not a matter. We're not coming from a binary paradigm. There just happens to be it's an extraordinarily powerful, of international scale institution that also happens to be a political party. So I don't know. When people talk about, and I'm not drawing a direct parallel comparison. This is an analogy. When people talk about the Nazi Party of the 1930s, they're not coming from a partisan standpoint just because they're not apologizing for the German Workers' Party or the Catholic German or Socialist German work. That's not a partisan position. There is real corruption. There's real actual atrocities of international interest, being committed at the time by the Nazi Party. So if we're investigating Democrat corruption, it's not an apology for the Republican Party. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So,
okay. So, how can people support Project Veritas?
Okay, so Project Veritas. Go to our website. Go to tips. Okay, tips. Project Veritas tips.com/tips, and tell us, if you are in a place where there is corruption, where you're seeing something, in your line of work or in your circle of trust, okay, that you think in your mind, oh gee, if only the American people could see what I'm seeing, then their eyes could be open. Well, you have it. We'll tell you what. Give us a call. Send us the tip, okay, and we'll give you the tools to make that happen, okay? Because you're not alone. You are not alone. There is a real demand. Americans are suckers at the end of the day for the truth, okay? We can't get enough of it. The mainstream media is actively trying to, they're not only suppressing information, they're suppressing curiosity. They're conditioning the masses to forget. When you don't go to the gym for a while, you don't work out a certain muscle, you forget you have it. Okay, curiosity is your greatest muscle. Okay, use it, wield it. Okay, and not you already know that. But I'm saying that the masses are being conditioned to forget that they have curiosity, to discourage curiosity, to hobgoblinize curiosity is what the media is doing. Be curious. Okay, demand answers, and let's work together on that.
Yep, they want you to listen to the government, don't ask questions, and just suck it up and do whatever they say. So thank you so much for exposing what should be the corruption and everything in politics. So Christian Hartsock, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Grace.